Alright, I'm back again with another video, this time something a bit different. I was asked last year by a person to list my favorite video game cover arts. So that's what this is. Took me a long time to get to it, but here we are. Some rules first. I went through my collection and picked out the around, let's say, 100 covers that most caught my eye, and I narrowed that down to a 50. So that's what this is. This isn't a list of all of the video game cover arts ever created and the top 50 out of those. This is only from my collection, and this is just to well, for me not to lose my sanity, right? It would be a ridiculous task to go through tens of thousands of video game cover arts, trying to figure out what are the best ones, or even to pick out randomly just some that I find on Google. What's the point of that? So this is a more personal list. So this is the top 50 video game cover arts from my collection. Now, this does mean that there are some pretty glaring omissions here. There is some stuff missing that should be here probably. So Chrono Trigger, not here. Castlevania Symphony of the Night, missing in action. I don't have most of the games in the Legend of Zelda series, so the one that I picked is probably not the number one pick for most people. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Also, another rule, only one game from a single video game series. So Final Fantasy, Metal Gear Solid, all of that stuff that has a really unique and recognizable art style that a lot of people love. Only one game from each series. And that is to make it more fun for me personally, because I get to include all kinds of different stuff here. I don't just have 10 games from Final Fantasy and then a bunch of games from the Metal Gear series. I have only one of each, so there's more room for other stuff. Now, I have here first a couple of honorable mentions, so let's take a look at them. Starting off with Evil Dead, Hail to the King on the PS1. I would have put this into the top 50 if it wasn't for those stupid looking skull bats on the cover. But yeah, I really like this cover a lot. Bruce Campbell with his chainsaw arm in the middle of lightning, getting ready to kill. Looks great. Then I have here Odin Sphere, the original on the PS2 by Vanillaware. Now, I love the Vanillaware art style, but their covers, I'm not a huge fan of them, because this sort of style where you just take a bunch of characters and you put them into this collage in the middle of the cover, not a huge fan of that style, but yeah, the art style itself is fantastic. Then we have Absolute Drift, Zen edition, very nice, simplistic design. Next up, we have Suikoden Tactics with a nice looking, very earthly light brown and white color palette and this horned character. The drawing style is very nice, but just not good enough for the top 50 in my opinion. Then we have Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne, with this black and white noir style of cover. And then we have Haunting Ground, which is here mainly because of Howie the dog. Howie is great, and he deserves an honorable mention. And finally, we have the amazing The Dog Island on the PS2. If you don't know what to do for your video game cover art, just take an extreme close-up of a puppy's face and slap it on the middle of the cover, and you're good to go. So those are the honorable mentions. Let's get them out of the way and get into the actual list. So at number 50, we have the Grey Hill Incident. No, we don't. Let's throw that into the garbage. There you go. The actual number 50 is a cover that is very nostalgic to me, and that's why it's on the list. Now, is this a top 50 cover of all time? Probably not, but when I was 7 years old, Pokemon Red had the coolest cover I'd ever seen. Look at this dragon. Charizard is great. I like the orange and red and the fire, everything about it. So, not necessarily an all-time artistic design, but when I went to the store and I saw this and Pokemon Blue on a shelf, I immediately grabbed this one. Pokemon Red, straight out of the late 90s. That's maybe a bit too far. Well, I guess it's okay. Maybe I'll move this camera up a little bit. Right. Maybe that looks better. There you go. Number 49. We have the original Mafia on the PlayStation 2 with this very stylized black, white, and red cover. These blacked out gangsters in the middle. Now, you will see a trend in this video. I really like black and red as a color combination. So there are a bunch of covers here with the same style, some of them quite high on the list. So brace yourself for that. I'll also try to do this with as little glare as possible, but it's quite difficult with the lighting. Right, number 48. We have Dino Crisis with this Raptor Claw. Now, this cover would be better if there wasn't a massive, from the creators of Resident Evil, sticker on the cover, but what can you do? So, nice looking, simple design. I like these covers where they have one idea and they execute it really well. So, the idea here is that we want a close-up of a raptor foot with the claw up, and then put some blood on the ground and light it properly with this black outline and everything. It looks great. Next up, we have Return of the Obra Dinn at number 47. The art style is pretty much exactly the same as what the game looks in a game. So you have this very pixelated black and white look. Nice moonlight going on there, and this oceanic view. Very nice. At number 46, we have Rez for the PlayStation 2. Now, there is also a PS4 version of this game. I prefer this cover. Now, usually I like covers with just a very simple color palette, so maybe 1 or 2 or 3 colors that work well together. This is one of the exceptions to that. Just you have this cube and an explosion of all of the colors imaginable, all the colors of the rainbow. Right. I said it's a cube. I guess it's a prism or something. Yeah. Anyway, then we have next up Transistor at number 45. That's a bad glare, but, well, I hope you can see it well enough. Very nice looking drawing style with a big ass sword held by this main character, this redhead woman whose name I can't remember at this moment. I mainly picked this because of the drawing style. It looks really nice. Then we have at number 44 the Saboteur on a PS3. Probably a bit of a surprising pick, but again, black, red, really nice color combination. I really like the Eiffel Tower there in the background. And just a very clean design. Looks like the game is set in the Second World War, or during the Second World War. This style looks a little bit like some of the posters you would see in that time period. So there's a reason for the design as well. It's not just a random choice. Next up, number 43, we have Celeste. This is the North American limited run release. There is also a European retail release for this with a different cover art, but I prefer this one. So you have the two sides of the main character represented by the dark blue, purple, and the lighter blue and purple. Very nice looking cover there. Number 42, we have another PS1 game. Driver 2, again, black and red and white. Looks nice. You have the driver there running towards something, and the car of the main character there as well. Again, a very clean, nice looking, simple design. And then at number 41, we have R-Type Final, which has just an infinite line of war machines hand-drawn on this white background. I really, really like this design. Instead of having just one of the ships in the game, you just have a shit ton of them stretching into infinity. Right, so that's the first 10. Next up, number 40. Now this is a special one. Again, maybe a bit of a controversial pick on a list like this, but what can you do? We have Ape Escape 3 with this massive barrage of monkeys. All kinds of monkeys. The game has this movie theme to it with all kinds of different genres and stories, and so you have a ridiculous amount of monkeys here. I like this one a lot. Monkey Mania at number 40. Number 39. Another childhood classic. Is this a top 50 video game cover art of all time? Not necessarily. Is it one of my favorite top 50? Absolutely. Harvest Moon Back to Nature. My favorite color is green. Not this light necessarily. I like a really dark forest green. That's my favorite color. But I always enjoy it when a green color is prominently represented in art. And then you have all of this art style that Harvest Moon Games has with these characters. It's so cute. I love the big cows, especially the sheep, everything like that. So Harvest Moon Back to Nature at number 39. Number 38, we have a horror game, Project 02. Now, this would be a lot higher if it wasn't for these stupid-looking faces here at the top of the art on both sides. Like this image of the twins with the red rope tied around them and the butterfly, that's just great stuff. So this could be much higher, but I had to drop it down a little bit because of those. One thing that I dislike the most when it comes to cover arts is the use of dumb looking 3D models. So those faces on the cover, like those are 3D models. You can clearly see it. I don't know if it picks up in a video, but I hate it. On the PS2 era, especially for example, in American games, they use those 3D models so often, and PS1 games as well. They are so ugly. I can't stand it. Now, number 37, we have Parappa the Rapper for the PS4. So this is the remake. Well, it's not really a remake. It's an HD remaster, more like, but yeah. Parappa the Rapper. I said earlier that I don't like covers where they just put a bunch of characters from the game. Well, there's Ape Escape. But Parappa the Rapper, this is one way to do it. So it's just a delightful image to look at. You have all of the main characters here. Parappa is on stage, rapping. There's a DJ. Some kind of a party going on. Fits the game perfectly. The art style for Parappa is also really nice with this, not necessarily a comic book style, but kind of a mix between comic book style and Saturday morning cartoon things going on, right? Next up, we have number 36, I had to pick one game from the Metal Slug series. I went with 4, just because of everything that's going on here. Again, this is a cover with so much going on. You have the characters. Yeah, the drawing style is great. You have a teddy bear flying in the air there, just exploding to bits. You have some motorcyclists blasting through the explosion. There's so much going on here. You of course have the war machines and everything like that. The colors are also very nice, with this earth brown and orange. Right, next up, number 35, Octopath Traveler 2, with this nice looking campfire setup. Now, Square Enix, they have so many great covers. This is the most recent one I picked for this list. I don't think I picked any other PS5 games or games from the PS5 era. Usually when I do lists like this, I'll sometimes include maybe 1 or 2 really brand new things, but usually I prefer picking stuff that has already stood the test of time. So this is a rare really new game that I included. Well, I guess it's a couple of years old now, but at this point, but still. So yeah, the drawing style, always fantastic, always great. Square Enix know what they're doing when it comes to cover arts and marketing their games through art. Right. Number 34, we have Rockstar and the Warriors, with an infinite amount of gangsters from New York. All these gang members. You have the main characters here, the Warriors. You have the main enemies like the Baseball Furies, and again, just a cover. Like when I went to the game store as let's say a 14-year-old at this point when this game was released, when I see something like this on the shelf, I just immediately gravitate towards it. It looks so cool. The drawing style, all of the characters. The movie itself is fantastic as well, if you haven't seen The Warriors from 1979, directed by Walter Hill. Yeah, it's not George Hill, it's Walter Hill. Great movie. Right, next up, we have an all-time great art direction from the Wipeout series. The Wipeout series has some of the best art direction ever, at least for the, let's say, Sony consoles. I decided to go with the original game for the PS1. There are so many that I could pick. I could have picked the Omega Collection, Wipeout 3, so many different games in the series that have great covers. Just extremely strong visual style. I also like orange as a color, or orange and silver. How many video games have that as their color combination? Not that many. So yeah, let's go with Wipeout, almost cracking the top 30. Next up, we have Gravity Rush Remastered. Now this is the PS4 version. I can't remember how different the PS Vita cover is. I think it's pretty similar, if not the exact same image. But yeah, you have the main character falling here. Green, like that a lot. Also like the cat. Cats are always a plus in my book. And then we have from this stack, lastly, for the PS2, Tenchu Wrath of Heaven. Again, red, black, very nice looking cover with these vertical lines and these panels. You have some bamboo there. You have some action going on. You have the eyes of, I guess this character is Rikimaru. I could be wrong about that, but close enough. So yeah, there we have Tenchu Wrath of Heaven. It's damn glare. It's annoying me, but it's good enough. Now we get to the top 30, starting off with Alien Isolation, Nostromo Edition for the PS4. I wanted to include one game that has a Xenomorph in it because Xenomorph, the design is so great. Most of the Alien video games are pretty good, if not great, and this is great. But the cover arts are kind of dull for the most part. This is by far my favorite cover art from all of the Alien licensed games. You have the main character Ripley, not Ellen, not the original Ripley, but the daughter, the other Ripley, the younger Ripley, and you have this mirror image of the Xenomorph lurking around. Very well. The game is called Isolation. Like this cover art goes very well with the title of the game and just the overall feel of the game. Very dark and foreboding. Next up, we have at number 29 a explosion of color with Strafe for the PS4, and an FPS game where everything explodes into blood and giblets. And that's what you have here on a cover. You have here the main character with a gun and just a hurricane of blood and guts. Very strong imagery there. Next up, we have the 15th anniversary edition of Fahrenheit at number 28. Now, why did I pick this re-release of the game and not the original one? Well, I did that because the original one has this really edgy teenage writings behind the character. Like there are words like cursed and fear and stuff like that, just all over the place. I like this cleaner version of the cover more, with just the main character. This is from the beginning of the game, where you realize that you have murdered someone, you have blood on your hands and all over your body, and this knife. It's a very strong image. I think they did an exceptional job with the re-release of this game. It's a really strange game. But yeah, there we go. Next up, we have the only Nintendo DS game here. And this is for the original Ni no Kuni. I could have also picked the PlayStation 3 version, but I decided to go with the original just because of the Studio Ghibli art. How often do you have video games released with Studio Ghibli art on them? Not very often. So this is a very serene, calm image from the city. You have the main character sitting there on the stairs. Nice looking art. And what was that? Number 27? Yeah. Number 26. We have The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess now. I own, let's say, 3 Legends of Zelda games, and this one has the best cover art out of them, so that's why it's on the list. If I owned Wind Waker, I probably would have picked Wind Waker, but here we go. Twilight Princess with Link and a wolf, and a nice looking, like, glossy cover. This is also the, as far as I know, the darkest game in the series, and you can see that from the cover art as well. Right, next up we get to the top 25. Now this is where the really good stuff starts. So let's begin with an absolute classic. This is GTA Vice City. Now, GTA games often have these collages, these like almost comic book style panel covers. It was very difficult to pick between all of the ones, but Vice City probably has the strongest visual style. It's the 80s, it's disco, it's Miami Vice. So yeah, I really like this art style of the GTA series. Then we have at number 24, Firewatch. I probably have set the wrong number at some point, but if I have, that's too bad. I think this is 24. Yeah, it should be. Right, Firewatch. Again, how many games do you have with an orange and a yellow color palette as the main colors for the game? Not just the cover, but for the game itself. Very few. So the colors are already something that sets this apart from many other games. I really like this landscape with the sunset. It looks nice. At 23, that was 24, Firewatch. 23 is I Am Setsuna with another landscape image, this time a snowy white image with a nice looking tree. Very simple, very effective, absolutely beautiful. At number 22, we have another all-time great cover with Red Dead Redemption. Now, this slipcover is really nice. It has some art inside it as well. But yeah, this cover with John Marston and a sawn-off shotgun just pointing it at your face. When you walk into a game store, which you probably don't anymore unless you're me and some other people, but if you walk into a game store, see this on a shelf, it immediately grabs your eye, grabs your attention, and holds it as well. Incredible game as well. So there you go. Red Dead Redemption. Another cover with black and red on it. Surprise, surprise. Then we have at 21, Castlevania. And I went with Aria of Sorrow. Now, Symphony of the Night probably would be a top 5 pick for me if I owned it, but I don't own it. And the PS4 release for it only has half of the cover with the Symphony of the Night cover. So I went with Aria of Sorrow. This is my second favorite from the series. Very nice looking drawing style again. The Castlevania games have this incredible art style that continues from one game to the other for the most part. Not all of the games. The PS3 games, for example, and the PS2 games don't have this style, but this classic Castlevania style, it looks so great. Also, the character design looks a bit like Berserk, which is always a good thing. Half white, half black, really nice stuff. Now we get to the top 20. Immediately starting off with I don't know if most people would put this into the top 20, but I just thought this cover was such a funny one that I had to pick it. I have here I Am Setsuna, Red Dead Redemption, and Castlevania, and over them I decided to go with Tokyo Jungle for the PS3 with this tiny dog in the middle of a post-apocalyptic destroyed Tokyo. I think this cover is such a unique, and it's at the same time very strong visually when you have this massive city and this little dog, and it's also really funny just having this, what is that, a pomegranate or something like that? Just have it there standing in the middle of the street. So yeah, I went with Tokyo Jungle, that's number 20. Number 19, we have a Spanish game, Gris. I think it's Spanish developers. Now, the drawing style in Gris, the whole game looks like this cover. It's incredibly beautiful. So good. The blue, different shades of blue in the hair and everything like that. The character design, everything about that just screams style. Now let's move the camera back a little bit again. I'm running out of space. Next up, number 18, we have Ikaruga. This is the re-release on the PS4. I don't have the original. The original cover art is really nice as well. But yeah, Ikaruga. I like war machines. This what would I call it? This let's just say drawing style. That's the easiest way for me to put it. This drawing style and style of design for these machines, it's so good. I like it a lot. Also very simplistic with the gray, different shades of gray colors. I also always like the logo of Ikaruga, which is inside this box. Looks very nice. So there you go. Ikaruga. Could be a bit lower on the list as well, but I just put it there because why not? Number 17, an extremely simple and effective design. We have the PS4 release for Super Meat Boy. So it's the Meat Boy with this little grin, ready to get punished again, running into hundreds of saw blades. Very nice, simple design. Next up, we have, well, something that could be a lot higher, but I decided to put it at 16. We got Silent Hill 3. Now, the Silent Hill series, I don't think their cover arts have ever been that great, except for this one. So you have here a very, very disturbing rendition of the main character, Heather. And I think in terms of mood, this cover fits the game perfectly, absolutely perfectly. The other Silent Hill covers, Silent Hill 2 has a pretty nice looking cover with the eyes. The original one, not that great, has just a 3D model of Harry Mason on it. It looks not that great. Yeah, Silent Hill 3 definitely deserves a spot on the list. Number 15, a Xbox 360 game. Out of all of the Katamari covers, I decided to go with Beautiful Katamari. Now, a shout out also to the original cover with the cow, or the cows, I think there are two of them. Look very nice, but yeah, I like this Beautiful Katamari a lot. It has all of these different styles of balls. You have the flower ball, you have the naval ball or the marine life ball. There's an elephant in there, and you also have a dinosaur there in the distance. This nice looking city just waiting to be rolled up into a ball. So very nice looking cover for Beautiful Katamari. Next up, we have at number 14, Hotline Miami. This is the Japanese physical. There are many different versions of Hotline Miami that have been released over the years for the PC, PS4, all kinds of consoles, the Switch. But this one with the Japanese cover art, such a nice looking art style, almost like a street art style, which you don't see very often. You of course also have the vaporwave aesthetic with the pink and the light blue and the mint colors, all of that good stuff. So Hotline Miami at number 14. At number 13, we have again a PS1 game. I think the last one in this list, yeah. This is technically cheating because this is a spin-off game, but who cares? So this is Vagrant Story, a Squaresoft title. It's technically a Final Fantasy game, but it's a spin-off and it's its own thing. It's a standalone spin-off with a different name, so a little bit of cheating, but who cares? So you have here the main character, Ashley Riot, and another character whose name I can't remember. Right, again, I said this with the cover for the PS5 game. What was it? Why am I blanking on the game? Well, I said this before for another Square game, but the art style for the Square Enix, back in the day, Squaresoft titles, it's such a fantastic art style, such a nice looking drawing style. So there we go, Vagrant Story. Let's put it here. Now, at the bottom of the top 20, or not the bottom, the upper echelon of the top 20, two extremely nice looking covers that I wish could have made it to the top 10, but just wasn't enough room there. Let's go with Nex Machina, a game by Housemarque. Again, black and red with a massive death machine. Very nice looking art. Also, I always appreciate it when a cover has a skull on it and it doesn't look stupid. This skull looks exceptionally nice with the blood red death eyes as well. So Nex Machina at number 12. Number 11, we have an all-time classic by Akira. What? Toyoyama? What is his name? Anyway. All right, we have an all-time classic here, Dragon Quest. No, Akira Toriyama. Why was I blanking about his name? He just passed away a short while ago. Very, very sad. Akira Toriyama, yeah. There we go. Messed up the name of the master behind the Dragon Quest and Dragon Ball art style. So I decided to go with this one from the Dragon Quest series. Look at the background in this one. Like, the background is incredible. So detailed. Just a pleasure to look at. Now we get to the top 10. There are a couple of picks here that may be a bit controversial, but for the most part, this is the stuff that you would expect to see on a list like this. Starting off at number 10, this is probably the most obscure one. The original Talos Principle. This is the deluxe edition for the PS4 with the kitten. Like I said earlier, cats are always a plus for me. The kitten looks a bit sad. That's fine. It's being held by an android. Maybe that's why it's a little confused. And yeah, I really like this image of the kitten combined with the machinery. There's also a story reason why this exists. Like, this kitten it's not a character in a game, but he or she does have a role in the game. Like, it's written in the lore of the game that the kitten existed in the world. So very interesting stuff there with the kitten. Right, then at number 9, we have the original Okami. There are many versions of this cover, and also the PS4 re-release has a different cover, but the original is just so nice. Is it anything special in terms of just what it is? Not really. It's a sun and a wolf, but it's the ink drawing style that really separates it from the other stuff. Such a fantastic art style, and a very unique art style at that. Not many games out there that are doing anything even closely similar to this. Right, then we have the PS2 release of Echo with this very striking architecture from the game, with the windmills and these massive constructs, and then the main characters running there. Just tiny small specks in the middle of this giant architecture. Very nice looking cover. Next up, a game that I wish I could put even higher, but I can't. So this is number 7. We have Catherine for the PS3, with the main character Vincent there, just disappearing into the middle of this lady's boobs like it's quicksand, and the sheep falling. Man, such a fantastic cover, such a fantastic game as well. If you haven't played Catherine, do yourself a favor and go play Catherine. Also really enjoy the pink colors. Not that often that you see a game very prominently showcase the color pink necessarily, so that's a good thing as well. Number 6, we have my favorite game of all time. We have Shadow of the Colossus, with this Colossus on the cover. Again, green, immediately something that interests me in a cover, and I really like the design of this Colossus. It's the first one that you fight in a game, and you have Wonder and his horse there at the bottom. Looks great. Shadow of the Colossus. Then we get to the top 5, starting off with Resident Evil 4 and the Forest of Death. Now, talking about striking covers, so the blood red sky and earth in the middle of this dead forest, and the chainsaw guy there standing. It reminds me of something that could be in a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. That's probably where they took the inspiration from. Right. Then we have at number 4, Final Fantasy, and I decided to go with 6. Now, Final Fantasy has many great covers. I chose 6 simply because there is so much in this cover. Usually Final Fantasy covers are very minimalistic and simple. This one has a lot going for it. You have the architecture, you have the just incredible drawing by Amano, the artist behind this. You have the mech here, everything on this white background. It looks so clean and so nice. So there you go, Final Fantasy VI. Let's put it like this. Number 3, we have Metal Gear Solid, and I decided to go with the second one. In terms of gameplay, the third one is by far my favorite, but the second one with this, all of them pretty much have a portrait of Snake in some form, but this one, for some reason, I'm not even sure why, this one really stands out to me. Maybe it's the red and white. The other ones have, other ones are green and blue. Those are pretty nice as well. Also, the way he holds the silenced pistol, very cool. So there you go, Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, number 3. Number 2, we have Secret of Mana. Now, the PS4 version of this cover is the same pretty much, but it's just a smaller picture. There's less tree, so incredibly detailed drawing of this beautiful tree, some of the flamingo looking birds there. And again, for some reason, many of the covers that I have here at the top feature these small versions of the characters against these massive backdrops of just giant landscapes and buildings and everything like that. So yeah. And then finally, number 1. We made it to the end. And for number 1, I decided to go with Dark Souls Prepare to Die edition, with Artorias there on the cover, doing the guts pose from Berserk. Just an extremely dark and simple and effective cover art. Especially I like the cape, how it flows there into the background. The only thing that would make this cover better if there was a baby Sif there somewhere. Like, that would make the cover even better. So yeah, there we go. Dark Souls Prepare to Die edition. And that's my top 50 favorite video game cover arts from the collection. Hope you enjoyed this. I try to avoid the lens flares as much as possible, or the glares or whatever, but it's not always possible. So that's it, and I'll come back again soon with something else. Thanks for watching, and bye.